Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are putting on our economic detective hats to explore some data about a potential economic slowdown.
Oh, yeah.
Here in the U.S., we found a fascinating article on Substack from Mimi's James
Mm-hmm.
called "Are the Leading U.S. Indicators Showing Signs of a Future Economic Slowdown?"
Mm-hmm.
And we'll link that in the show notes. And, I think this is one of those things that can seem kind of intimidating and jargony.
Yeah.
Like, oh, economic indicators, what does that even mean for me?
Right.
But it really could be helpful for everyone.
It can.
Whether you're, following the stock market really closely or just thinking about, your own personal finances and budget,
Mm-hmm.
kind of understanding what these trends are telling us about the future of the economy can help you make, more informed decisions. So
Absolutely.
let's dive in.
Yeah. So it all started with a bit of a little market shakeup last month.
Okay.
The Dow and the Russell 2000 took a dip. And one of the culprits seems to be the release of the Conference Board Leading Economic Index, the LEI.
Okay, so the LEI. That sounds very official and important.
It is.
So tell me, is this like just some random number they come up with, or what is this thing?
Not random at all. Think of the LEI as a sneak peek into the economy's future.
Okay.
So it's a composite index.
Yeah.
Meaning it combines data from 10 different economic factors,
Huh.
and they're carefully chosen because they tend to shift before the economy changes directions.
So like a canary in a coal mine, but for the entire U.S. economy.
Exactly.
Got it.
And this canary is singing a slightly worrisome tune.
Oh,
So the September LEI dropped for the second month in a row,
okay.
down 0.5% to 99.7. And it's been on a downward trend for a little while, and that's what spooked those investors.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. And the article points to a few different key factors for this dip. Weakened new factory orders, a decline in building permits, and less optimistic consumer expectations about the future. So it really does paint a picture of maybe things slowing down.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
But hold on, there's another piece to this puzzle.
All right.
The Concurrent Economic Index, or the CEI.
Okay, got it.
And that actually rose slightly in September thanks to some good news on the employment front.
Okay, so one index is down and the other one is up. So are we heading for a slowdown or are we cruising along? I need your expert decoder skills here.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where the real detective work begins. Economic data is rarely black and white.
Right.
We have to look for patterns and weigh the evidence.
Okay.
So the article talks about something called the 3D rule of leading indicators to make sense of the LEI: duration, depth, and spread.
So it's not just about if it goes up or down. It's how much it changes, for how long,
Okay.
and how widespread the changes across all these different components.
Exactly. And according to the article's model, which takes all that into account,
Okay.
the most likely scenario is an economic slowdown in the first half of 2025,
Okay.
but not a full-blown recession.
Okay.
They point to the strong U.S. employment market as a key reason why a recession is less likely.
So not a crash, but a bit of a bump in the road maybe. But what's, I think, fascinating here is that we're seeing these mixed signals. It's like the LEI is flashing a yellow light
Right.
and the CEI is giving a hesitant thumbs up.
Right. And that's why it's so important to understand what these indexes are actually measuring.
Okay.
So let's break them down a bit further, shall we?
Yeah, so the LEI is made up of these 10 different components,
Okay.
and they're not all created equal. Some carry more weight than others, depending on how strongly they tend to predict those economic shifts. So which of these components are like the real heavy hitters, the ones that we should be paying close attention to?
Well, new orders for manufactured goods.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Okay.
So if businesses aren't feeling confident about future demand, they'll cut back on orders,
Right.
and that can ripple through the whole economy.
Right. Less demand means less production, maybe eventually job losses.
Yeah.
It's a domino effect.
Exactly. Another crucial component is building permits
Okay.
for new private housing. This is a great indicator of just overall economic sentiment. When people are feeling good about the future, they're more likely to invest in a new home.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
If you're feeling uncertain, you're probably not going to be like, you know what? It's time to buy a house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a drop in building permits could signal that people are hesitant to make big financial commitments.
Right.
Maybe because they're worried about the economy.
Okay.
And then there's the stock market. Now, it's not always a perfect reflection of the real economy,
Right.
but it does reflect investor confidence, which can have a big impact on overall economic activity.
Okay, so So the LEI is taking into account these hard numbers,
Uh-huh.
like factory orders, building permits,
Yes.
but also things like, consumer expectations, investor sentiment. It's
Ooh.
really looking at it from all these different angles.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it such a powerful tool.
Okay.
Now, in contrast to the LEI,
Okay.
which is all about predicting the future, the CEI, the Concurrent Economic Index, focuses on what's happening right now.
So it's like taking the economy's temperature in real time.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the CEI looks at things like employment levels,
Hmm.
personal income,
Okay.
industrial production. It's a snapshot of the economy's health.
And in September, that snapshot wasn't too bad, right?
Yeah.
We saw a slight increase in the CEI driven by those positive job numbers.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's why we have this kind of intriguing situation where the LEI is flashing a warning sign while the CEI is saying, hey, things aren't so bad right now.
Yeah. It's almost like two doctors are giving different diagnoses for the same patient. How do we make sense of these conflicting signals?
Well, it's important to remember that the economy is a complex system.
Yeah.
It's not always going to move in a straight line.
Right.
We can have periods of strong growth followed by periods of slower growth.
Okay.
And that's perfectly normal.
So it's not necessarily one is right and one is wrong.
Right.
They're just each telling us a different part of the story.
Exactly. So the LEI is giving us that glimpse into the future,
Okay.
and the CEI is telling us where we are right now. And by putting those two pieces of information together, we can get a more complete picture.
It's like having a map
Yes.
and a compass,
Yeah.
right? The map shows us the terrain ahead,
Uh-huh.
but the compass tells us where we are on that map.
That's a great analogy.
We need both to navigate effectively.
Exactly. And just like navigating through unfamiliar territory,
Yeah.
navigating the economy requires us to be aware of both our current position and the potential challenges that lie ahead.
So if we're using this economic map and compass,
Yeah.
what are they telling us right now? What should we be prepared for in the coming months?
Well, they seem to be showing us a path with a bit of uncertainty ahead.
Okay.
The LEI is suggesting that potential slowdown, but the CEI is reminding us that, the current situation isn't dire.
Right. So we're in this kind of interesting in-between zone. It's not all sunshine and rainbows,
Right.
but it's not like a full-blown storm either.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to stay informed and be prepared for different possibilities. And this is really where, the insights from a deep dive like this can really help you, the listener.
Okay, so let's talk about that. We've covered the LEI. We've covered the CEI and what they might mean for the overall U.S. economy. But what does it mean for someone listening right now? How can this actually help them?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Right.
Now, we can't give personalized financial advice. You'll want to talk to a financial advisor for that.
Right, of course.
But we can offer some food for thought.
Okay, hit me with those brainy insights.
First off, remember that the LEI is a signal, not a crystal ball.
Okay.
So it's a little bit like the check engine light in your car.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you're about to break down,
Right.
but it's a good indicator that you might want to, get things checked out.
Don't panic, but don't ignore it either.
Right.
Got it. What else?
Second, think about your own financial goals
Okay.
and your own personal risk tolerance.
Hmm.
Are you saving for a down payment on a house? Planning for retirement?
Yeah.
Just trying to stay afloat? Your personal situation is going to really influence how you react to these economic signals.
Right. So someone who's nearing retirement might be a lot more cautious than someone who's just starting their career.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then finally, remember that staying informed is key.
Okay.
Keep an eye on the news. Follow trusted financial sources.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. The more you understand about the economy, the better equipped you'll be to navigate any potential bumps in the road.
Well, this has been incredibly helpful. Thank you so much for breaking down this complex economic data and making it relevant to our everyday lives.
My pleasure. It's always fun to share these insights and help empower people to make good decisions.
Awesome. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of leading economic indicators,
Yes.
we'll leave you with this final thought. Economic uncertainty, it's a part of life.
It is.
But with a little knowledge and preparation, you can weather any storm that comes your way. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.